Welcome back to episode 2 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM, our FM24 Journeyman here that we are making our way through. Yesterday we hit the job hunt. In the end, we got 2 interviews. The first one you can see on screen was from US Torga over in Morocco. They were very keen on us, but then once they realised that we were over 25, it seemed like they were a bit like Leo DiCaprio. They then turned their attention to someone else. So unfortunately, that one was not the job that we could take, but thankfully we had a backup plan in Buxton from the Vanarama National League North. These guys are inside of the relegation zone. We did delay once they offered us the job. They did in between that time pick up a pretty decent draw there, 1-1 against Peterborough Sports away from home. Those guys, a mid-table team. To be fair, it's probably a game that they should have won, but still, that showed enough spirit, I thought, there that we could take this job and try and keep these guys up in the Vanarama National League North for next season with only 6 games remaining. The issue being that we didn't actually check out fully the schedule for the remainder of the season off the back of the first game we'll play in today's episode against the worst team in the league, Farsley Celtic, off the back of that, a mid-table team in Radcliffe. It does get quite tough. Hereford away from home, Kidderminster Harriers up in third Leamington. That's probably a must-win game before the final game of the season, where we take on Spennymoor Town, that one at home, but they're up in second. So it's actually quite a tough task for us here, and especially because when we go over and have a look at the players available, there's not really any defenders. So maybe we should have checked that stuff out while we were doing that delay instead of just seeing what they did in that game against Peterborough Sports. But it does mean we've got 6 games to keep these guys up. We'll play the first 2 in today's episode of Rookie to Royalty. Hello again everyone and welcome to episode 2 of Rookie to Royalty here on Shaun Does FM. And as I said during the intro today, going to play our first 2 games in charge here. We desperately need to win this first one. We take on the worst team in the league, Farsley Celtic, a club in real life who have been having some pretty big issues with their owner, and also for a fair while they haven't actually had a home ground this past season in real life. But these guys are rock bottom of the league. Their recent form is absolutely terrible. If we can't beat these guys, we'll be in all sorts of trouble, and then off the back of that, we'll take on Radcliffe, a team who are a lot further up the table. But again, both these games are at home, so fingers crossed we can pick up some points in today's episode. If you think we're going to stay up here with this Buxton team, go down in the comments, leave an antlers up. If you think we're going down, which to be fair is probably quite likely considering our games off the back of today's episode, Hereford, Kidderminster and Spennymoor Town in particular, instead, leave an antlers down. Hopefully it doesn't look too silly there with that pose I have just made, but hopefully we're going to get off here to a good start at Buxton, despite the fact that we don't really have any defenders here. As you can see, got a greyed out guy there at right back because there's no right backs in our squad. We've only got 2 centre backs, and one of them is a bit more of a left back, and also only 1 left back. So it's fair to say off the back of yesterday's episode, we have tried to get some trialists in here to the club. If we go over and have a look at the Dev Centre under 21s, you'll see we've got quite a few players in on trial here at the club at right back and centre back, seeing as those are the desperate needs that we need to fill here at the club. The issue being that if we actually go and try and sign one of these players, as I figured out off the back of yesterday's episode, we can't sign them until the 5th of May. So unfortunately, that plan that we did have there to try and strengthen our defence, that's already down the toilet. So we're going to have to struggle here for the rest of this season, albeit we will have a youth intake in April. So to be fair, that's not too far away at all. It could even be coming up during the course of today's episode. If not, it should be coming up in tomorrow's one. That youth intake could be absolutely crucial in our chances of keeping these guys up. Fingers crossed we get lots of defenders and hopefully some squad players for the rest of the season in other areas of the pitch, and then we can dump those guys down in the under 18s for next season, because at the moment we don't have anyone in that squad. But in terms of what we're going to go with tactically here with this Buxton team, we've gone with the 3 tactics that our assistant manager did recommend, but different formation. We're going here with a 4-2-3-1, and seeing as we need points pretty quickly here with this Buxton team, we are going to start off with a gegenpress. Hopefully it's going to work here against a team especially like Farsley Celtic. Not too sure if it's going to work too well once we make our way forward to tomorrow's episode, take on teams like Hereford and Kidderminster Harriers, but hopefully can pick up results here in today's episode, especially this first game against bottom of the league there, Farsley Celtic. You can see there our attack does look quite good, but that defence is a real concern. So fingers crossed, despite the fact here we're going to try and play some pretty high tempo pressing football, we can pick up a result and then see what we can do when we take on Radcliffe in the second game. You can see there that attack, it does look quite hot. The one little concern I do have is actually with our midfield, apart from the fact our defence, we've got no players, because Kirby probably would like to have a bit further back, the same there with Truman, but unfortunately neither of those players are actually that well suited to playing in defensive midfield. We'll click on Truman, you can see there he goes down to grey stars once he plays a bit further back. So we're going to try here those two a bit further forward than we probably should be doing for a traditional 4-2-3-1. We could also do potentially an asymmetrical formation like that last series that we did do with the Red Bull clubs as recommended by the clock bot. But yeah, we'll see how this goes here with those two midfielders a bit further forward. We're going for the exact same formation with our other styles of play here currently that we've loaded up. With Buxton, we've got a wing play formation. The assistant manager recommended a 4-4-2. We'll probably switch that to a 4-2-3-1 if we do decide to use it. And as well as that, we've also got a cautious direct counter-attack. So those are the styles that our assistant manager has recommended. But I think for this first game in particular, going with the gegenpress could work against the worst team in the league. So fingers crossed that that does pay off as we take on Farsley Celtic. If we don't win this game, as I've said now a few times, we really are going to be in all sorts of trouble. So we'll make our way forward here and get stuck in to this first game in charge. And fingers crossed here that we can pick up a good result in this one, because otherwise we're going to be in a fair bit of trouble and probably not much hope of keeping these guys up in the National League North next season. Of course, if we don't keep them up, we'll be coming back for another job hunt, which would be a bit unfortunate because off the back of yesterday's episode, I have been trying to hire staff. We are waiting for those adverts to get filled out. We'll make our way forward here and get stuck into this game. You can already see there, I think, our grayed out right back might have had a name change, which I've noticed a few times already since we've gotten to this save off the back of yesterday's episode. So our right backs are going to change quite frequently up until we get a youth intake here with this Buxton team. But fingers crossed we can win this first game. Otherwise, yeah, hopes of keeping our job here at Buxton are not very high. With the Bucks, hopefully we can just do enough to keep these guys up, jump above teams like Marine, who currently are on the verge of dropping into the relegation zone. Then a bit of a rebuild might even be the Young Bucks here next season here at the Tarmac Silverlands. But this is the Farsley Celtic team. You can see they're in all full form and going with a 4-3-3. This is really a game that we need to be winning. So let's hope that indeed is the case. We're only 4 points behind Marine, but still, that's a little bit of ground to make up. We probably should have actually played that Peterborough Sports game instead of delaying during the course of yesterday's episode. But to be fair, I want to see if they could pick up points against teams that they should be picking points up against based on their season preview. Now, just going to have to adjust here the type of highlights we get. We'll go to key highlights, and also let's get this going a little bit quicker than what's happening currently. So it looks like here we might have a little bit of a waste of time highlight early on, but Farsley Celtic look like they are in the aqua uniform. We are in the dark blue with the white shorts, but so far this is actually painfully slow. We might even need to turn up a bit more. We'll see how this first half goes, but indeed, that first highlight was a waste of time. But fingers crossed here, we can put out a good performance. A little bit concerningly, one of our centre-backs there in Francis Angola, he is already not quite on a full green heart. A bit concerned, but thankfully the first proper highlight here, we're on the front foot. We float that one far post there through Everington, our grayed out right back, and De Girolamo will head that one home. And thankfully that's the case too, because he's on 1k a week, which is quite excessive for the wage budget that we do have here. So I dare say once that contract expires, he won't last too long here at Buxton. But thankfully the gegenpress works early. I think if you need points, especially in the lower leagues in a situation like this, you go with the gegenpress and see what happens, especially with a team that look quite suited to a 4-2-3-1. So that's a good start for us there. Our first shot with this Buxton team, and we score, albeit now we go down the other end here for a throw to Farsley Celtic. They float that one far post. Thankfully, Joe Young, who is here on loan, can come out and claim that ball. He'll throw that one out there to our right-hand side to Reed. He's a bit of a young centre-back with some potential. We'll see if he develops into that going into next season. Otherwise, we are definitely going to have to sign some centre-backs anyway. We'll see if we can improve on him going into our second season at the club, albeit we probably should focus on this season first, because really, we are in danger of getting a sacking quite early. But also, we could keep these guys up, and hopefully that might pay that annoying question you do get sometimes in job interviews in terms of if you can keep a club up, and maybe we're going to do that because our captain Connor Kirby there will put that one away, albeit with a lot of help there off the wrists of their goalkeeper, because to be fair, that one was straight at him. We fizz that one in there to Fitzhugh, who is quite a handy player. He plays that one back out there to our captain, and somehow it makes its way there through the hands of Jensen. But a hot start for us here in this game, to be fair. We were hoping for that, considering these guys are a pretty rubbish team. We make it 2-0 inside the first 20 minutes. So far looking good here with this gegenpress, with this Buxton team. So fingers crossed that continues during the remainder of this game, and maybe can put these guys to bed inside of the first half. Brennan will fizz that one in to Girolamo. That's probably our two strongest players here at Buxton, and it looks like we might wipe the floor here with Farsley Celtic in our first game in charge. A nice little throw-in routine that we do have going there, and Girolamo gets himself on a hat-trick in our first game in charge. So maybe that 1k a week we're paying him is going to be quite useful, especially if he can help us stay up in this Vanarama National League North. Now, hopefully, a team like Marine, they can struggle in the game that we're playing already. Francis Angol is down to a red heart. The problem being, we've got no other defenders. So to be fair, we might have to wait here until halftime and see if I can do some more research on those players on our bench and see if any of them can do a job at centre-back. But now, with about 7 minutes to go in the first half, there is a corner which Farsley Celtic there do take to the edge of the box. Thankfully, we can eventually get that one away, albeit there, Everington, our greyed out right back, heads that one straight back out there to a Farsley Celtic player. And again, we don't do too well there trying to deal with the danger. And for some reason, Brennan has headed that one straight to the path of Stevenson, who can put that one past Young. So unfortunately, we concede our first goal here with this Buxton team. That one, though, did seem quite avoidable. Brennan tracking back there from his left wing position. For some reason, can't quite head that one out, and it gets on the head there of Stevenson, who gives them a way back into this game, but still in a pretty strong position here. 3-1. South Shields are being Marines. To be fair, so far this day is going quite well for us here with this Buxton team. A good chance there, I think that was again to Everington. He just puts that one over the bar, but it feels like in this game we're definitely on the front foot with this gegenpress. Not too sure there how that wasn't a foul on Fitzhugh, but then here at the far post, that one does go over the bar. Lots of highlights here late in the first half of this game. Unfortunately, can't keep the ball there from that goal kick from Farsley Celtic, and now they start to make their way into our half. Atkinson there will find a namesake down the right hand side, Krista Ben, and all of a sudden we're kind of bottling things here. Late in the first half of this one, we've gone from having a 3-0 lead to only being 3-2 in front. So a poor end here to the first half. Our defence maybe not quite fit enough to keep up with this gegenpress. Maybe having Francis Angol out there on that red heart is a little bit of an issue, but the highlights here continue late on the first half. All sorts of action here as we try and make our way into halftime still with a lead. Now Brennan here will cut inside, take on a shot, and to be fair there forces a decent save out of Jensen. So unfortunately can't quite make it 4-2 going to halftime, but certainly lots of goals here in this game. As expected, our attack, it does look quite good. The defence might be the problem. Unfortunately, can't find Brennan there at the far post off the back of that corner being dealt with. Just see if this highlight is up to anything more. Some good short passing here on the outside of the box. We'll see though if we can get something going before we make our way into halftime. Good work there from Williams, and puts that one far post, and thankfully Jack Stobbs will head that one home. And those little worries that we did have off the back of those 2 goals which Farsley Celtic did score now might be going away. We've got a 2-goal lead back here. It's a cushion goal as Williams does some wonderful work there down our left-hand side, and Stobbs does quite well there to out-jump Powell and put that one away close enough to the top right corner. We'll praise off the back of that, and hopefully that might do it for the first half. To be fair, both teams only one shot, not resulting in a goal from their ones on target, but pretty happy with that first half. A little bit concerning that we have conceded 2 though. That defence certainly a bit of an issue. I think here we're going to try and pull back Kirby like we suggested before the game and see if the asymmetric formation might work, as he can actually do a job in defensive midfield unlike Truman. Now they're going to have to try and find someone who can come on for an absolutely knackered Francis Angol. Next game is midweek off the back of this one, so to be fair, we should really give him a rest with our lack of centre-back options. Sam Osborne does have a red dot there at centre-back. We might actually have to make the most of that here in this game, as the only player who is in our entire squad who can do a job at centre-back, who isn't already out there. Everington, we can't really move because no right backs on the bench to Sam Osborne. We're going to try here as a centre-back during the second half, but that was a decent first half for us there. We've got a 4-2 lead at half-time in our first game of the save as we take on this Farsley Celtic team that I was hoping we could beat a bit more comfortably, maybe help out our goal differential, but to be fair, the situation we're in, I think we'll just take the 3 points if we can get them. And some concerning signs early here in the second half. There's a throw in here for Farsley Celtic quite early on, of course, with that sub we made there at half-time. Our centre-backs not going to be too strong now with Osborne doing a job. Some good short passing there from Farsley Celtic, but thankfully Young there comes up with a good save. It does allow, though, Farsley Celtic now a chance from set piece, which probably we don't want too much of with that sub we did make. But thankfully this time Brennan with a good header away, unlike what he did for that first goal, which Farsley Celtic did score. We keep hold here of our 2-goal lead. Now, Josh Williams has picked up a yellow card, but we can't really bring anyone on. I've just remembered here, still getting used to our players here in this Buxton team, so we'll get stuck back into the game. Ideally, would have their Francis Angol as a left-back option on the bench, but considering our lack of players, that's not possible. But now we can make our second sub. Tom Elliott here can come up with our better players than Fitzhugh, who had a green rating, but has dropped down to a red heart. And right off the back of that, we do have a set piece here. We try and put that one into the mixer at the near post. Unfortunately, it gets cleared away, but Girolamo now back on the attack. That somehow forces there a save out of the goalkeeper. You can go far post for Stobbs, but unfortunately this time can't hit the target like he did late on in that first half. But only a few minutes later, we're back on the front foot here with a free kick and some good defensive setup there from Farsley Celtic. They clear that one off the lines. We go quite close there on a couple of occasions to making it 5-2 and really trying to put the nail in the coffin here of this team, who I think if they lose this game might then have their relegation confirmed going into next season. It was a chance there for Farsley Celtic from a throw, and thankfully we try and do something there on the counter attack, but a loose touch there down our right hand side does mean that Celtic can get this ball back. Evans will play that one forward to Atkinson. That's actually quite a nice ball over the top there for Hurlock. Puts that one into the mixer for the goal scorer from the first half and Stevenson. But thankfully, that header does go just over the bar. And now we've got quite a few players out there who have dropped down to red hearts. To be fair, it's between Papaga and Viggers on who we bring on here. Viggers is a striker and Di Girolamo on a hat-trick. So to be fair, I think here we might want to try and keep him on the field, Di Girolamo. So maybe what we do here is try Viggers in central attacking midfield as a shadow striker. Tom Elliott can go into midfield and we'll take off Truman. Let's see what Elliott can do there in that central midfield role. Thankfully, since we've dropped Kirby back into that defensive one, it does seem to have stemmed the flow a little bit in terms of goals that we can see. So maybe that asymmetric formation won't be the worst one to use here with this Buxton team for the remainder of the season. But now we're about to make our way into the final 5 minutes of this game with our situation. Anytime that we're going to be in front here in the save this season, we need to start time wasting and hope we can hold on and pick up all 3 points. Late chance there from a free kick. Everington, who to be fair has hit a pretty good game. Hopefully he sticks around for the next one that we do play. Unfortunately, he misses the target there from that short free kick that we do take, but thankfully it's a win in our first game in charge here with Buxton. And then that second half had no goals at all, but we did get off there to a nice hot start for in the first half. It did get a little bit iffy there just before half-time when Farsley Celtic did make it 3-2, but thankfully Stobbs grabbed another cushion goal for us there right on the verge of half-time. Overall, it was a relatively dominant display, so I think that the Gegenpress did what we wanted, especially once we did drag back their Kirby to defensive midfield and left Truman forward in that central midfield role. Maybe that's something we're going to need to consider going into the remainder of the season, but we'll try and praise the morale here, get the mood up here, considering these guys are not too happy, seeing as they are currently in a relegation fight. And thankfully, that result does mean we're now only 1 point off Marine off the back of them losing to South Shields, and also Leamington have lost to Alfreton Town. So that is a pretty good first week of results for us here at Buxton. Hopefully we can back it up with another decent one when we host a team in mid-table in Radcliffe. So we pick up a much needed 3 points during our first game in charge here at Buxton. Fingers crossed we can now do something against a bit of a tougher test here as we take on Radcliffe. These guys up in 11, so the BFA have moved up a little bit off the back of when we started off in today's episode. They're expected though to finish all the way up in second according to the media prediction. We'll see where they were supposed to be on the season preview if it's that high. They are newly promoted to this division but are expected to finish fourth. So to be fair, if we can do well here, this might suggest we can actually keep ourselves away from relegation this season. So a big game coming up for us here, second up in today's episode. Hopefully can back up those 3 points that we did pick up there against Farsley Celtic. But as I said, this no doubt will be a lot tougher. Their manager does like a 4-3-3, and they are called Radcliffe, not Radcliffe. So I dare say these guys actually will have some decent people owning them who might actually give them lunch before they come to this game, which would have actually been quite useful if it was Radcliffe instead of Radcliffe. But hopefully here we can back up that good first performance and try and get something out of this game, maybe even go above Marine if we can pick up a point. That would be quite nice. Marine there, as you can see, they take on Darlington, who are up in 7th. It is a home game for them, but this also is a home game for us. Also, we're probably keeping an eye out on Leamington. They've got Chester away. So again, I'm hopeful here this could be quite a good day for us if we can pick up a decent result in terms of goal differential. We're dead even with Marine, so if they lose and we pick up a draw, we'd actually go above them because of goal differential. So hopefully we can pick up here a result in the second game of today's episode. Obviously, we're going to go with the exact same team that we had in the first game. Thankfully, everyone has recovered. Just a bit different there with the right back that we've got available, seeing as we have none in our squad. So for today's one is Kern Garrett we've got there at right back. We've also, this time instead of having a goalkeeper on the bench, chucked on Coden Tilson. Both those right backs are quite naked, but they're the only extra defenders we've got in our squad, so we better put both of them on the bench, even though that second one is greyed out, but no right backs. Fingers crossed when we get that youth intake here at Buxton, it's actually going to give us a couple of options in that position. If it doesn't, then hopefully a couple of defenders at the very least, a couple of centre backs, so we can actually rotate in that position if we get injuries. If we get injuries, we might be screwed here with this team. But as you can see, the morale here is starting to improve even a little bit in those pre-match team talks. So fingers crossed that shows we're getting through these guys and we can pick up a decent result here second up in today's episode. But Radcliffe, as you saw, expected to be quite a good team. They're underperforming and they are away from home, so fingers crossed here we can make the most of them maybe being a little bit shaken this season by the fact they expected it to be in a playoff push. To be fair, they're only a couple of points outside that, so still well and truly do have a chance here. They are in the red today. We are in yet again the dark blue with the white shorts, just like we were for that first game, seeing as yet again we are at home for this one. An early chance here, it is to Radcliffe. They go near post, and O'Brien nearly puts that one away at the near post, but thankfully Young doesn't have to make a save. It just goes the wrong side there of the woodwork. So an early chance there for Radcliffe. Off the back of that, we do see the goal kick. We'll try and play this one for their Truman. It goes up and now stops from a tight angle, and he beats their goalkeeper. They're a really powerful effort off the back of that ball over the top from Fitzhugh, and Jack Stobbs backs up a pretty good performance in that first game and makes it 1-0. So we're looking quite good here early on with this gegenpress at Buxton. Stobbs, that was quite a tight angle. Didn't think to actually put that one away, but thankfully we're in the National League North. Some of these goalkeepers aren't too much. Chop our first attack of the game and we go 1-0 in front. 3 points here would be absolutely massive if other teams around us can drop points, albeit then Radcliffe go quite close there from that set piece. Thankfully get helped out there from the woodwork, then a pretty cynical foul as we try and break away on the counter-attack. Indeed, Owalabi there does pick up a yellow card. Thankfully, despite the fact that Radcliffe are getting off a lot more shots than us so far in this game, we still have that 1-0 lead. Fingers crossed we can carry that on into the second half. A little bit concerningly, Garrett at right back already down to a red heart, so probably you have to bring on their Tilson at halftime. And unfortunately, we concede eventually in this game, 10 minutes shy of halftime. O'Brien this time with a header does get that one over the line with a lot of help there from the underside of the crossbar. Quite soft goal there to concede. Young has a bit there of a Jordan Pickford problem, tiny arms, and unfortunately it proves costly because it can't quite touch that one. It just makes its way over the line after hitting the underside of the crossbar, and Radcliffe do grab an equaliser. To be fair, stats wise they probably deserve it, but 1-1 at half time. Honestly, I don't think that's too bad against the team who are expected to be right up in that playoff promotion fight. So we'll make a sub here at half time. Garrett unfortunately is knackered. Coden Tilson will come off him. Also Connor Kirby, our captain, not doing too well. The problem being we don't have another defensive midfielder in our squad currently. We desperately need that youth intake here at Buxton. Fingers crossed we'll get that during the course of tomorrow's episode because it didn't come through in between games in today's one. It's supposed to come through in April. We are now on April Fool's Day in game, so fingers crossed here it's not going to joke on us and we'll suffer our first defeat. To be fair though, that wouldn't be too much of a joke. These guys are expected to be a lot better than us. We now make our way into the second half. Pickles will play this one over here to Brockbank. What will Radcliffe do here with their first attack of the half off back of that equaliser late on in the first? Mitchell tries to size up our men there down that right-hand side. We clear it away, but then they play it back into the mixer. I think Tilson there with a bit of a soft foul, but unfortunately this is a penalty that does get given. O'Brien now will step up from the spot, and Young will get beaten. O'Brien there will pick up his second goal of the game. He really could have had a hat-trick with that chance he had there in the first half, but unfortunately it's now 2-1 to Radcliffe, and indeed this might be a bit of a dagger blow here in terms of our chances of making our way outside of that relegation zone early on in the second half. They make it 2-1, so that's a bit concerning. And now Tilson has picked up a yellow card, so he has been a bit shocking ever since coming on here at half-time for Garrett, our other grayed out right back. But now Kirby, he's dropped down to a 6.3. I think here we're going to have to try Truman in that ball-wing midfield role, but keep him forward in central midfield, and Tom Elliott, he can come on for the struggling Kirby. And also our expensive earner and Girolamo not doing too well today. Viggers can come on for him, our Welsh backup striker. So a couple of changes here. Those will be our last couple of subs. Only 3 here in the Vanarama National League North. As those subs are about to go through, we try and whip a ball there towards the far post, but unfortunately there's no one home. Hal will pump this one deep, but thankfully Tilson is going to be there to tidy things up, but so far not doing too well on a 6.3, but unfortunately didn't have much of a choice there on bringing him on without the right back down to a Red Hut Fitzhugh. Some nice work, drags that one back there for Stobbs, but a good block slash save there from Radcliffe does mean that the scoreline is still 2-1 in their favour. So lots going on here in this game. Unfortunately, can't quite yet grab an equaliser. Fingers crossed we at least get something from this game. Thankfully, I think the Radcliffe player there must have been offside because it did look like he was in behind our defence. Thankfully, though, he stopped that run and we can clear our lines. But unfortunately, off the back of that, Radcliffe are back on the ball and do try and get something going here. Down the right-hand side, Pickles plays that one for Mitchell, who cuts inside, plays that one back there to Tomlinson, and they find lots of space here on the left-hand side, but thankfully, that's a big save there from Joe Young, not for the first time in today's episode, and then a long-range effort from Tomlinson. That one does go over the top, but Radcliffe did threaten there to put this game to bed. Thankfully, that shot did go over the woodwork as we're about to make our way to the final 15 minutes of this game. Luke Brennan now picks up an orange injury. Fingers crossed that's not too serious, but at least we do have some backup in that position in the squad. But now Tilson, and a ton of space, our grayed out right back off of the bench. He's been shocking so far in this half, but that might be a contender for goal of the season. It's absolute rocket, that one from just outside of the box. They gave him a ton of space to be fair. I can't blame them. I've got no idea how good he is because he's grayed out. That's a wonderful strike. Certainly makes up for that penalty that he gave away early in the second half. Tilson, remember the name, he might have scored a goal there that could be quite important in us staying up at the end of this season, because the draw against Radcliffe, certainly not the worst result as we make our way now into 4 minutes of added time. We might get a chance here, do something in injury time. We float that one far post there for Stobbs. He then gets brought down somehow, no penalty. Also going down there was Viggers, and before then Stobbs hit the woodwork. So a good chance it felt like for us there to make it 3-2 late on in this game. Viggers is wasting time, unfortunately, might actually be injured, but that's full time. Done actually quite well there. Get a draw from that game. Only 9 shots compared to 12 and 1 less on target. XG a lot less, but to be fair, that probably has something to do with that penalty which Tilson did give away, but thankfully off the back of that early setback in the second half, an early goal of the season contender from him. I say early goal of the season contender. We are only here for 6 games, so he's probably got a high chance of picking it up off the back of that effort that we did just see. But a wonderful strike there from Tilson to level things up for us there with 10 minutes to go. A late chance through Stobbs to make it 3-2. Unfortunately, the referee turned a blind eye off the back of his shot hitting the post and then getting brought down inside the box. But I'm pretty happy with that start to life here at Buxton. 4 points that we'd probably expect there in 2 home games against Farsley Celtic. 3 points obviously was much needed. That point there against Radcliffe is a little bit more surprising, so I'm quite happy to get 4 points from today's episode. We'll just see how good that 1 point was, and it's very good because Marine, they've been beaten, and Leamington, they also got beaten by Chester. So thankfully, so far, the results here are going our way with other teams. Fingers crossed that continues once we make our way into tomorrow's episode, but a pretty decent point there as we come from behind to grab a 2-2 draw against Radcliffe. So I think we're going to be pretty happy with our first two results with this Buxton team. A win over Farsley Celtic, backed up there for draw against Radcliffe. As you can see, again, for some reason, they've changed our right back's name there to Coden Portis, but Tilson with a wonderful goal there off back, giving away that penalty early on in the second half does mean that we do get something out of that game, and it does mean that we just get ourselves outside of the relegation zone. So fingers crossed we can stay there during the course of tomorrow's episode. I think, again, we'll play 2 more games. Of course, only 6 left in the season when we joined here. So I think the next couple of days we'll have 2 games and 2 more, and we'll see if we can keep these guys up. Otherwise, on Friday, it'll be yet another job hunt here in this save. But so far, looking pretty decent, albeit tomorrow things will get tougher. We take on Hereford away from home, our first away trip, and they are up in 8th. And then we host Kidderminster Harriers, who are in 5th. That one, though, is at home, so maybe a chance we can pick up a result like we did there against Radcliffe, but certainly tougher opposition than we did face in today's episode. So we'll see how we get on there in tomorrow's episode, if we can pick up more points, or if we struggle and might then lose some ground on the likes of Marine in that race to stay up. Hopefully you guys did enjoy today's episode. If you did, then do make sure to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. Until tomorrow for those 2 games, Hereford and Kidderminster Harriers, and hopefully as well we'll get a youth intake and some defenders to fix that problem that we do have there, especially at right back. And also Luke Brennan is now injured. How long is that for? For 3 to 8 days, so thankfully not too long, but still that's one of our better players. That might mean we struggle a little bit in tomorrow's episode, but hopefully get some new players through and a youth intake in between now and then. So until the next time I see you, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.